am Sukaina. Welcome to this series on English tenses. In this class, we will look at the present simple tense. I will show you exactly when to use it, how to use it, and also what mistakes to be careful of when you are using this tense. We will also go through lots of practice exercises together, so you will learn exactly how to use this tense correctly and confidently. I want to begin this lesson by looking at when to use the simple present tense. There are 2 points I want to focus on. Number 1, we use simple present tense to share facts, so facts refers to information that is always true. For example, I speak English. In this sentence, speak is simple present tense. In the second example, he works in New York City. This is a fact, just information that is true. So works is a simple present tense verb. In one more example, they don't live in France. Don't live is simple present tense, but it's just a negative statement. So these are examples of simple facts. We express facts with simple present. The second use of simple present tense is to express regular actions, so especially this is for items in a schedule or timetable. When I say schedule or timetable, I mean, for example, something that happens every day at the same time, or every week, or every month, or every year. So it's something that we understand happens regularly. So, for example, I visit my parents every month. In this sentence, visit is a simple present tense verb, and we know that this is a regular action because we have this expression every month. In the next example, the bus leaves at 3 p.m. Leaves is in simple present tense. This is part of a timetable at 3 p.m. So we can understand this is part of a bus schedule. Finally, he doesn't call me every day. Here again, we have a negative expression. He doesn't call is in simple present tense. It's a negative expression, and here we have every day, so this shows an action that does not happen every day. So these are the 2 ways to use, or the 2 times to use simple present tense. Now let's look at how to form the present simple tense. There are 3 possibilities in writing any sentence. We have positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions. And we will go through each one step by step. So for these subjects, I, you, we, and they, we just say work. For example, I work, you work, we work, and they work. Now look at what happens here. When it comes to he, she, and it, we need to add an S. That's all. We need to add an S for he, she, and it. Not because it's plural. It's not plural, but from a grammar point of view. In the present simple, we need to add an S here, so you can say it after me. He works, she works, and it works. That's for a positive or affirmative sentence. Now let's look at a negative sentence. So, when you want to make a negative sentence, there are 2 kinds of patterns to follow. The subject is very important here. So, if your subject is I, you, we, or they, we include don't before the infinitive verb. So, yes, you can also use do not, but in everyday we use this reduced don't. So, we can say I don't, you don't, we don't, or they don't, plus the infinitive verb, and no change to the verb. So look at the examples. I don't work. You don't work. We don't work. They don't work. The other pattern is the he, she, or it subject pattern. Here we use doesn't, so doesn't is the reduced form of does not. So we can say he doesn't, she doesn't, or it doesn't, plus infinitive verb. No change here. So when we make a positive statement, we need to add an S sound to the end of the infinitive verb. When we are making a negative statement, we don't need to make any changes to the verb, just a plain infinitive verb. So we can say he doesn't work, she doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now let's go to the questions. So what happens in the questions? In the question, we also have to use that helping verb do. So we use do with subjects I, you, we, and they. And we use does with subjects he, she, and it. And we have to change the order. So instead of saying I do, we say do I. Alright? So let's look at the examples. Do I work? Do you work? Do we work? Do they work? And for he and she and it, we say does he work? Does she work? And does it work? Now let's look at some of the spelling changes we need to make in the present simple tense. We only need to make those changes as I mentioned earlier when we are using he, she, or it. Because, for example, we say I work, but he works, right? So, what was the spelling change we needed here? We had to add an S, and most of the time with most verbs all you need to do is add that S in general. For example, work, works, play, plays, eat, eats, swim, swims, write, writes. So there all we did, we just added the S for the he, she, or it. Another change is verbs ending in a consonant and Y. What do I mean by that? If we look at this verb study, it ends with a Y, right? And just before the Y, we have a consonant. What's a consonant? Anything that's not a vowel is a consonant. So, what's a vowel? A vowel in English is A, E, I, O, or U. Everything else, B, D, G, X, C, etc., these are all consonants. So, D is a consonant. Or here in the word try, we have a Y, and before that we have a consonant. So what happens in those cases? We have to drop that last Y and we have to add IES. You've probably seen this lots of times, but this is actually what's happening. So study becomes studies, cry becomes cries, fly becomes flies, spy becomes spies, try becomes tries. Next, if the verb ends with double S or an SH or a CH or an X, then we need to add ES. And we can almost hear it, okay? Just listen. For example, miss, misses, go, goes, wash, washes, watch, watches, mix, mixes. So Now I'm going to give you a quick review of the simple present tense. So, when you want to make a positive statement, you need to think about the subject of the sentence. When we are making basic statements, there are two ways to approach it. If your subject is I, you, we, or they, we use this pattern. So I, you, we, or they plus the infinitive verb. So infinitive verb means just the basic form of the verb. There is no change to the verb. So we say I speak, you speak, we speak, they speak. However, your subject is he, she, or it, we use first the subject, then the infinitive verb, and then we add an S sound to the verb. So we say he speaks, she speaks, it speaks. Now look at the examples. I speak English. You speak Spanish. He speaks Italian. She speaks 5 languages. To make negative sentences in simple present tense, we use don't and doesn't before the verb. When the subject is I, you, we, or they, we use don't before the verb. When the subject is he, she, or it, we use doesn't before the verb. For example, I don't speak English. He doesn't speak Italian. I don't need help. She doesn't need help. We use do or does to make questions in the present simple tense. Do is used for questions with I, you, we, and they. Does is used for questions with he, she, and it. Also, the same rules apply for the verb in questions. We use the base form of the infinitive. For example, do you speak English? Does he speak Italian? Do you need help? Does she need help? Now it's time for practice. All you have to do is to give the correct form of words given. So take your time and answer the following sentences or questions. Number 1, we have Ahmed and the verb work 8 hours a day. So we have a positive sentence, and the name Ahmed could be replaced with the subject he. So here we need to add an S to the verb work. So it will become Ahmed works 8 hours a day. Second sentence, we have I, not no. So here we have a negative sentence because we have not. So we need to add the helping verb do. Don't. I don't know him very well. So the sentence will be I don't know him very well. Third example, we have you speak English. So at the end of the sentence we have a question mark, which means that is a question. So we need the helping verb do. So we need to start with do. Do you speak English? Do you speak English? 4. My sister like coffee. So my sister here we could replace it with she. So we can say my sister likes coffee. My sister likes coffee. We will just add an S to it. The 5th example, she want to buy a new phone. Here again we have a question mark, then it's a question. So she, we can use doesn't. So doesn't she want to buy a new phone? Doesn't she want to buy a new phone? And the last one is a question too, because we have a question mark at the end of the sentence. So when, and we have the subject he, so we can use does. When does he go to the office? When does he go to the office?